in Rome, fall and rise of an empire.
A quick note before the commentary begins, you might notice a difference in audio levels and quality between the shots. It's because I redid some of the recordings due to varying reasons. Hello everyone, it's
your boy, Skinny Penis.
And welcome back to another time-lapse video, this time in Europa Universalis 4. Now I usually don't add commentary to my videos, but I had to add commentary to this one because there were so many things that I thought needed explanation. Whether it be events, mechanics of the game, or the mod, or end result in terms of what religions or cultures that are present at the end, and what the great powers are. In general, a brief explanation of the whole timeline. The first thing I want to address is the elephant in the room, which is this word right here. Most of you will probably not know what this means, but some of you might, and they might start commenting about it and quotation marks expose me. It means I'm using a pirated copy of the game. Why am I doing that? Well, I'm from Syria, and in Syria right now we have economic sanctions, which means we don't have credit cards, and as you know, without credit cards you can't purchase games online. The only way we can get games is through pirated copies. I'm sorry if that bothers some of you or makes them or makes you think of me as some stealer or thief, game thief, but that's just how things work here. Pretty sure the company will survive without my money. So the first question you might ask is, what the hell happened to Rome? It was doing so good, so why did it crumble so suddenly and so fast? This is why. People who played the game and the mod will know what happened here, but people who played the game but didn't play the mod will need some explanation. So in this mod, the Empire is given certain negative modifiers that give it unrest and instability. This is done as a way to balance gameplay, otherwise Rome would simply be too OP for anyone to defeat, even for an experienced player. In short, these modifiers cause a lot of revolts, and if the Empire is busy in a war, those revolts can get out of control, and once that happens, the mod upgrades those negative modifiers to even worse versions, causing more unrest and more weakness, rinse and repeat. It's basically a downward spiral towards more instability and more unrest that ends with most of the Empire's provinces either breaking off as independent nations or getting taken by enemies, sometimes taken by those independent nations themselves. The next thing I want to explain is, why do some nations seem to crumble suddenly into several parts? Well, the reason is because of their government type, which is Salic monarchy. Any nation that is dark red in this map is Salic monarchy, which is only in Northern Europe. What is a Salic monarchy? Well, when the king dies, the realm gets divided between the sons. The way this is implemented in the mod is totally random, which is why you see all these random nations and ugly borders. It also has another issue with it, which is the technological difference between the resulting nations. I don't know why, but for some reason one of the parts always ends up with a vast technological difference between it and the rest of the nations. Apparently one of the parts gets a different technological group, which sets it back in technology way back, which is a shame because this feature overall is a good one. I love when big empires crumble into several parts because it makes for an exciting timeline and an exciting AI only game, which is why I love Crusader Kings 2 in the first place. Anyone else seeing what I'm seeing here? You might also be wondering what happened here. How did this nation form and expand so quickly? In this mod, around the year 620, wherever the nation that controls Mecca has a chance to get an event that gives it the option to convert to Islam. The AI always takes that option, which changes the country entirely into a caliphate, and then it gains huge bonuses, especially militaristic bonuses, and also gains a free casus belli against neighboring heathens. And the reason they expanded so fast is because in a war, once they occupy a province and it remains under their control for 6 months, the province is automatically annexed and cored. This is done to simulate the birth of Islam and its rapid conquest. These same events might occur in Mongolia around the year 1200, but in this run it didn't, so we only got the rise of Islam and not the rise of the Mongols. Now there might be other things in the timeline that could or should be explained, but for the sake of not making it a 1-hour video, I'm just gonna skip right to explaining the end result. The first thing we're gonna see is who are the greatest powers. Obviously the first great power is India, by a huge margin if you ask me. You may see a slight difference here in development, but trust me, in power they are way different. The second one is Mogadishu, as you can see. It's a bit surprising since most of what they control is really just desert, like I don't know where they got their power from. Next great power is Italy, and the timeline itself explains pretty much everything you need to know about Italy. Fourth one is Cambodia. Let's see what they control. This is the greatest extent of their empire. Not much to tell about this nation. In general, East Asia is not that much fun to watch in extended timeline. It mostly gets dominated by 1 or 2 nations. The next big power is the Netherlands, which controls all these lands in Europe and these 2 provinces in America. And it also controls these colonies in America and this one tiny insignificant colony here. They actually used to be way stronger than this. They used to control most of South America and half of North America. Basically the Dutch Germanic version of Spain. The next one is Kilwa, which came into existence into the game like 500 or 600 AD, and they just sat there waiting until the colonizers came, took all of this land, and they took over that land. they really didn't do anything impressive. Then we have England, which would be much stronger if it weren't for the Salic monarchy thing, which just keeps splitting them up more and more. The same applies to Sweden, which also, if you unite all of these lands into one empire, would be way stronger than what it looks like right now. Now let's talk religion. Starting with Hinduism, which is probably the biggest religion in the world. It covers all of these areas, all the way into the Middle East, all the way into Eastern Europe, and into Australia. I'm still trying to figure out how in the hell this province became Germanic. I can understand this province being Mahayana and a few provinces here remaining Sikh, but I don't understand how in the middle of India a province became Germanic. What's interesting about Catholicism is it's limited to only one nation, well, one nation and its colonies, which is Italy. I've also checked and there isn't a single Catholic province in all of America. Even though Italy grabbed the expansion and colonist ideas, I think they just came too late into the colonial game. Orthodoxy doesn't exist in this world, although it did briefly exist in Anatolia and in Greece before getting conquered by Italy, and for a brief period, if I'm not mistaken, by Zoroastrians or maybe Muslims, I'm not sure. But yeah, it doesn't exist in this world at all. Obviously, with a few Christian nations in the world, the Reformation didn't really took place all that much. It barely covered a few nations in Central Europe, and that's pretty much it. And I highly doubt these provinces, well, their religion will remain reformed, because I'm gonna explain later what happened, but it's because they're secular, and in secularism no one attempts to convert provinces anymore. So reformed will survive, but it's limited to these provinces. Islam didn't do as good as you would think it would, because it usually dominates most of Africa, the Middle East, and at one point it even pushed all the way into Europe. All of Iberia was Islamic, and parts of France were also Islamic. But they were pushed back by Italy in Europe, and well, as you can see, pretty much everyone pushed back against them. Albania with Zoroastrianism came in from the north, and India came from the east. Islam at one point was under threat of being entirely eradicated from Arabia itself. So let that sink in. It also exists in a few parts in South America, and it used to exist in North America before the other nations kicked them off the continent. I think Andalusia is the one who colonized North America but failed to keep their colonies. Surprisingly, Australia is also mostly Islamic, as I've already shown you. Also, Shiism exists, but in very few provinces, here in North Africa and in South America. Now on to the biggest surprise in the game, which is pagan religions like Germanic, Druidist and Totemist, and also Norse. Now personally, I thought the pagan religions will fall to Abrahamic religions or just mainstream religions, because pagans in this game don't get a missionary to convert provinces. So what happens is, for example, if Britain conquers most of Italy, most of its provinces will be Catholic, and it can't convert those provinces. So the AI will automatically choose to convert to the dominant religion. And that's how pagan religions usually fall in this game, but surprisingly they didn't. And once secularism hits, all religions stay the same and nothing gets converted anymore. So good job, paganism, I guess. In South America it's mostly pagan. In North America it's also mostly pagan, if not entirely pagan. And apparently atheism exists. I honestly didn't even know this exists. Religious? This is the first time I've seen this, but it sounds like a shitty religion if you ask me. Minus 100% national tax modifier and minus 100 morale. That's really not a good thing. They probably added it in the newer versions of the mod, because I don't remember this religion existing before. So I guess you can technically spread atheism in this game, but it really doesn't look like a beneficial religion, like at all. I really thought African paganism was gonna go extinct, but surprisingly they managed to survive. I'm not sure how, but they did. Zoroastrianism was actually way bigger than this. It used to cover all these provinces. If only the Sassanids didn't fall to the Indian giant, we would have way more Zoroastrian provinces. By the way, according to this timeline, I'm actually Zoroastrian. That's where I live. And I'm also apparently Egyptian Arab. As for these black lines that are covering the map, it means that the state religion is different from the religion in each province. And since most states converted to secularism, you see that none of the states have the same religion as their provinces, because secularism isn't a religion that can be converted to as a province, only as a state. But it provides the best bonuses and benefits that no other religion can provide, and also removes any problems that might result from the difference in religion between the provinces and the state. As for culture, the things that are worth mentioning are Italian culture dominating the European side of Italy. Interesting to note is that there is still one province with the Roman culture, which is Siena. Also, China is Vietnamese, or at least mainland China. Take a look at this. Australia is Swahili. Enjoy that. Most cultures in South and North America fall into the Germanic group, but they're really just Dutch culture. I like this one, Gaelic Mexican. It makes me think of this picture. Not much to say about cultures, those are the only interesting things that I found in the game. The HRE actually exists, but it exists as just 3 countries with no emperor. Italy is not the emperor, it's just an elector, and these are just Burgundy and Austria are just members. They are not, I don't know, it just seems bugged. I don't know where the emperor is, and it doesn't seem to have expanded anywhere. These are the provinces that have been for 300 or 400 years. I gotta say, I like the fact that Italy stuck mostly to the historical Roman borders, especially on the Danube front line. Now I know it's not by choice. If the AI had the chance to expand, it would have expanded further, but I still like it this way. I really prefer if any attempt at restoring Rome would always stick to the historical border. It just doesn't look nice. Many human players, whenever they go for a restoring Rome run, they always start randomly conquering into Poland and Russia for no reason, maybe for economic benefits or something, but it really doesn't look nice. It just screws up the shape of the empire, and I really don't like that, and I'm glad the AI mostly stuck to the historical borders. Now there are so many things that I could talk about in this run, especially during the timeline itself. There are so many things that I can comment about, but in order to not make this video any longer than it should be, I have to stop here. I would like to clarify that the reason I'm not uploading videos as frequently as I used to is because right now in Syria we're having really long power cuts. I'm barely getting 4 or 5 hours of electricity every day, and it doesn't help that I don't have a laptop. I'm doing all of this on a PC. Not to mention, I actually have a life outside YouTube and computer in general. I go to the gym, I go to college, I hang out with my friends. I don't have all of my time free for making videos. So I'm sorry if I'm taking too long, but these are the reasons. I used to give the reason of exam, and the exams are over, but once the exams were over, electricity cuts took place. And again, I'm sorry. Also, what didn't help is that the last 200 to 300 years of the game were moving like this. It took me a week just to finish the last 300 years alone. Before I end this video, I want to tell you about my next idea for EU4. I'm probably not gonna do another full 2000 years time lapse. Instead, I want to do shorter time lapses where I give one specific nation a lot of buffs for a certain amount of time, from 25 to 50 years max, so that nation expands as far as it can in a short time, sort of simulating a golden age of strength and expansion. I'll probably have to initiate some wars for it, as the AI may be too slow to take advantage of those buffs, and after those buffs go away, I'll replace them with crippling negative modifiers as a way to simulate the decadence that follows a golden age. And in general, we'll just see how far that nation can expand and whether it can survive after its golden ages are over or not. Let me know what you think of this idea in the comments and tell me which nation you want me to give the buffs to. That's it for now. Hopefully this wasn't too long for you to watch. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to hit that like button on this video and subscribe if you want to see more Europa Universalis, Crusader Kings or Total War time lapses.